What's going on, guys? Lon here from Android Authority, and we are still here at E3. It is the last day, and we just wanted to bring you guys a quick roundup of the VR experiences that we saw here at E3, and I'm joined by Andrew Grush, one of our writers. So we're just going to get right into it and start off with the first one that we got to check out, which was the Merge VR. And basically it's sort of like a Google Cardboard type experience, except the headset was actually made of foam.
It was just a high quality foam that's designed so that way you can wipe off sweat easily. It was supposed to be very resilient. You could drop it without damaging the headset. And really not a lot about the design. I mean, what really makes it stand out is, yes, it's gear. It is not gear. I'm sorry. It is cardboard compatible, but the big advantage to this is that it also has a remote that acts kind of like I want to call it a Wii remote, basically. You could swing around and you have full access control. And so that kind of gives you a whole new level of, to the gaming experience.
The remote definitely does add a extra level of gameplay to the VR experience, at least on a more simplified VR headset. So you do get to interact with the game a lot more. For example, the game that we got to play, you use the control to basically shoot balls of magic or whatever they were to sort of attack the bats that were going at you. So it does add a little bit extra to the experience, but for the most part, it's really kind of pretty much the same. Would you say it's really kind of the same thing as Google Cardboard or?
It will have its own SDK. They will have their own app store. Well, it's not really an app store, it's an app, and then it has all the links for everything. And then when you find what you want, it pushes you out to Google Play. Or the demo that we did show was on an iPhone, but the final version, when it arrives, will be on Android as well. But yes, basically it is a glorified cardboard with a few extras that make it interesting, and it's about $130.
All right, so jumping to our next one, next VR headset that we got to experience was Fauve. And this was, the cool thing about this particular headset was it uses, on top of just using your head to track motion, it also uses your eyes. And I was actually the only one that got to experience this particular one, but I was actually pretty impressed by it because the eye tracking works extremely well. And basically, the game that we were playing was a alien type game where a bunch of aliens would pop up on the screen and you would just look at them in order to shoot them. And it sort of made you feel like Cyclops in a way, because it would just shoot lasers at these spaceships, and all you had to do is just basically move your head or just use your eyes to basically aim at them and blast everything away. So it was actually a really cool experience to kind of experience something a little bit different from your standard VR headset that just relies on your head. Quality of it was actually pretty good too. They were Quad HD resolution, so it definitely was a pretty decent experience for just a simple headset. So let's go ahead and talk about Oculus, and I'll let you start off with your experience with Oculus. This is both our first time experiencing the Oculus Rift, so what did you think about it?
So I absolutely loved it. I played Edge of Nowhere, and it's a dark, if you like dark, edgy type games, you're starting out in an Arctic setting and just going around, and basically the experience is not, as we kind of talked about in another video, the experience, it's not true as far as you don't feel like you're the controller, you're around the controller, but it is still a really immersive experience that is similar to what we have already seen with gaming, but at a whole new level. And this game in particular was great just because it was scary to a point, because you had stuff running around you didn't know what was going on, there was a lot of noises, you eventually saw these monsters. And as far as the hardware itself, though, moving beyond the game, I think there's a lot of potential there. Right now, it is a pricey. I mean, I know they're aiming for over $1,000 pricing. But as far as being the next big thing, I think VR. I think that it is an excellent example of where we're heading with VR, and I'm really excited for the Rift.
Yeah, I think Oculus is doing a great job with the Rift, and I got to experience it for the first time as well. But what I really want to jump into is Project Morpheus. That was also a first-time thing for me. And I was the only one here that was able to actually get a chance, because it was a really long wait. It took a little bit over an hour just to kind of get up there, and just for 5 minutes of gameplay, and it definitely was worth the 5 minutes that I got to experience with it. It's really cool. It's very immersive. Feels a lot like Oculus, except the resolution isn't quite as great. But the particular game that I mentioned in the reactions video that I did, it's called Rigs, and basically you're inside a giant robot and you go around blasting other players and you have to score goals, things of that nature. So it was a really cool game. Had a really fun time with it, and the experience is really great. There's no latency to it whatsoever. Other than that, it was a really awesome experience. I would say it's very comparable. One of the best VR experiences that you can get out there, very comparable to the Oculus Rift. The last thing that we want to jump into is the accessories that we saw for all the different VR that we saw here at E3. So Grush, you had more time with these accessories than I did, so I'll go ahead and let you talk a little bit more about them.
Sure. So absolutely, accessories were a big deal here. There were quite a few of them. It's clear that that there's a lot of companies that are interested in making VR move beyond just like a traditional controller. I saw in particular the Manus Machina, and it is basically, you remember, some of our audience may remember the Nintendo Power Glove from back in the day. You slipped on the glove and it allowed you, basically that's the same thing here. You have a glove and it has little sensors inside with each finger. And you then have full access control to move around with your hands. You can actually like point your fingers and like shoot. And it's just it's a unique way of doing it. It was paired with the Gear VR, which that was my first time with the Gear VR as well. And as far as being like truly revolutionary, it was not, but it was cool. It was a different way to control VR beyond just having a traditional controller. Some of the other things we noticed, like there's this thing called the Nod, and I didn't personally get to experience it, but what it is it's a smart ring, and like we saw some really cool stuff. Like there was a boxing where you had one on each hand, and they were virtually boxing with it. There was also Cybrith. Cybrith is a treadmill, and it's a kind of a treadmill / trampoline hybrid that people get in with like an Oculus or another, any VR can be made to work with it. And you get in and you jump around, and you look kind of ridiculous, but it's cool. I personally think that it's a little bit too much. But yeah, I think that that's where we're heading. Is you're seeing virtual reality here at E3, and you're seeing a push towards making it more and more immersive, and it's only going to get bigger from here.
Yeah, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head there. VR is definitely becoming a big thing, and we're super excited to actually be here to cover it for you guys. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying all the coverage that we've been bringing to you from E3, and besides just the VR coverage. But it's very exciting stuff, and hopefully it's going to expand and grow and become an even bigger thing than what it is already. So, but this has just been a quick roundup of the VR experiences that we've had here at E3. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up down below, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any of our E3 coverage and anything else we have coming on down the road. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it tuned here to Android Authority, because we are your source for all things Android and E3 2015.